Vocal for Local, brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op.
All right, I'm very happy to be joined this morning by Pamela from Access Hearing Center. How are you doing today, Pamela?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me, by the way, this morning on Vocal for Local. I mean, it's in the name, but you were just telling me right before we went to air here, like you got lots of different services you offer. So tell us a bit about, well, actually tell us all about what sort of things you offer at Access Hearing Center.
Okay, we offer hearing testing, of course, ages 12 and up. So that's full diagnostic testing, looking in your ear, testing for middle ear issues, all that kind of stuff. We also do custom plugs for noise, sleep, or swimming. Mm-hmm. We also do wax removal, and then hearing aids, sales and maintenance of the hearing aids.
I see. What would you say hearing aids kind of the biggest part of your business, or?
Actually, hearing testing and wax removal are two of the biggest.
Yeah.
People feel plugged up. They're not sure what's going on, so we can look in there. If there's no wax, then we send them back to their doctor or nurse practitioner to get it looked at, or we recommend a hearing test, because if you feel plugged up, there could be something going on behind your eardrum that we just can't see.
Yeah. And I should say something very important you wanted to mention was you say send back to your doctor or nurse practitioner. You don't need a doctor or nurse practitioner to come avail yourself of your services.
No, you don't. In BC, you don't need a referral for that. If anyone tells you to go get your hearing tested like any other provider, you can just phone in and make an appointment. With the shortage of doctors and stuff right now and what's going on, that's important. Yeah. Because people should have access to be able to just get that. And then once we figure out what's going on, then we can look at finding the right avenue for you after that.
I see. Is this something that's generally covered by kind of your benefits at your workplace or whatnot, or is it kind of further than that?
That's a good question. Yeah. So we do direct billing to government insurances like WorkSafe BC and all that kind of stuff, but we don't direct bill to private insurance. So they would just take their receipt and they would submit it just like they would for pharmacy, optometry, whatever, physiotherapy, any of those. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned earwax removal. I know from my personal experience, I grew up putting the Q-tip in my ear, which you're not supposed to do. But sometimes I find I've got, it seems like a lot of earwax, maybe because I'm used to always cleaning it out or whatever it happens to be. So tell us a bit about that. You mentioned earwax removal as a service. What kind of happens and what should trigger you to say, maybe I need to have this investigated further than you think?
Right. So if you think you have earwax, usually you'll feel completely plugged off on one side. Your balance may be affected. Mm-hmm. You could feel both sides, but that's more unusual. Usually it's one and then the other one's maybe not far behind.
Yeah, and it's like your equilibrium is off.
Yeah, you may experience tinnitus or ringing in your ears.
Yeah.
All those can be signs of wax, but they can also be signs of other things. So you would come in, you would make an appointment, you would come in and we would look in your ears. If you did indeed have copious amounts of wax, like you were over, I couldn't see the eardrum or whatever, then we would use irrigation, warm water, and we would just remove it. It's very safe. There's usually no indication that anything's abnormal, and most people feel a lot of relief after that.
Yeah.
If you don't have wax, then we would talk about doing a hearing test.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting.
I just wanted to add too that wax is normal in ears. So to see wax on a Q-tip, which we don't recommend, but I know everyone does it.
Yeah.
But to see that's okay. But what can happen with a Q-tip is you can actually push the wax down further because your ear self-cleans up to a point. But if you push it past that point, it can't self-clean anymore.
And so it could just build up.
It can just keeps building up, and it's actually causing that. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
You told me beforehand I'm blanking on the date. It's been a decade or so since you kind of started Access Hearing. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about your journey before that. What kind of led you to saying, I'd like to open a business that provides these services for people, as we said earlier, here in Fort St. John and also in Dawson Creek? Tell us a bit about that, where you came from in that sense.
So I moved here in 2005. I was in dentistry before that. I'd been a dental assistant for 23 years. And then I moved here and I couldn't find my right fit for that. So I applied for a job at the health unit in the audiology department. Excuse me. And then I worked there for almost 10 years. And I saw there was a need for another clinic in town.
Yeah.
So that's what prompted me to open, because the health unit only saw children. So I was working in the pediatric population, and then I moved. I got a lot of calls saying, what about adults? What can we do for them? So I thought, well, there's obviously a need. So that's when I opened Access Hearing Center in May of 2015.
And kind of based upon the education and experience you got working kind of for the health unit, as you said.
Yeah, from their audiology program. And, I started out as a technician, and then I went back to school while I was working there and did some online stuff and other things, and went to Grant MacEwan in Edmonton, the university there. And then that's where we are now.
I see. Was this owning your own business kind of an ambition of yours, even when you were a kid? Did you ever think that might be something that would happen? No,
not at all. I took sciences in school. I didn't take business.
Yeah.
So it's been a real learning curve. More positives than negatives, but at times I'm like, what did I do? But it's been good overall.
Yeah.
And it's really helped me grow.
Yeah.
And realize all the other, not just being an employee, but being an employer and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Do you still actually kind of do some of the day-to-day service that you offer in the business as well as?
Yeah. So I am the clinician in both clinics. So I go 2 days to Dawson Creek and I go 3 days here in Fort St. John. So I split my time between the two. And then we have 3 staff members, a manager, and then a staff in each location. So I do have a student as well, and she is taking the same course I took at the University of Grant MacEwan, and she's in her last year. Okay. So I'm hoping she'll stay.
Here's hoping, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if someone's listening to this right now and maybe having a hard time hearing us talk about this, they want to reach out to you. They want to kind of, figure out what's next. What's the best way? They come see you. Do they make an appointment? What do you suggest?
Yeah, so we don't generally take walk-ins just because we have a full appointment schedule. But you can definitely call in. We also on our website have a link that you can make appointments online if that's something you choose. Or you can just stop in and make an appointment. We're right on 100th there, down from the Cultural Center. So you can just come in there and make an appointment that way too.
Awesome. And I did want to make sure we mentioned this. You've got a little incentive for people who are listening to this right now. You want to tell us about?
Yeah. So there is a fee for services, but if you mention that you heard me on the radio, then we'll waive that fee if you want to make an appointment for a hearing test, because usually it's a $75 hearing test, but it is free for seniors anyways.
Okay.
But if you wanted to make a test between the ages of 12 and 65, then it'd be free if you mention it when you make the appointment.
All right. Well, call Access Hearing today. Mention you heard Pamela on 100.1 Moose FM, and you'll get yourself that fee waived. Number I've got here, 250-787-7758.
Correct.
Excellent. Anything else you want to say before I let you go today, Pam? Pamela,
no.
sorry.
Yes, we're having our 10-year grand opening. 10 years we've been in business, so that'll be next May. So we'll have some kind of celebration for that, and so look for that. You can come and visit us. And
I should say you have I think lots of social media too that people can follow you on, right?
We do. We've been kind of lax on that. The girl who was taking care of that got a better position and left. And so I shouldn't say better, it was different, but she decided it was a good move for her. So she left. So that's been kind of lax, but we're looking at getting going on that again. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that number again, 250-787-7758. Call them, mention you heard Pamela on Moose FM, and you'll get a free hearing test. Thank you so much for being here, Pamela.
Thank you for having me.
It was lovely to meet you.
You too.
Join us next Thursday for the next edition of Vocal for Local, brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op. If you have a small business and would like to be featured for free, call us at 787-7100 or email reception@moosefm.ca.
Bacon